Alright, so you think you know orcs, huh? Big, green, smashy. Well, get ready to have your assumptions challenged because today we're diving deep into their world.
Yeah, we're going way beyond the surface level.
We're talking about their origins, their struggles, their culture, and their surprisingly complex history.
And believe me, there's a lot more to them than meets the eye.
We'll be exploring excerpts from the Orcish Horde, a saga of survival and honor, which paints a fascinating picture of people who face some serious trials and tribulations.
It's a story of both darkness and redemption.
So picture this. Draenor, the orcs' original homeworld. Before the whole green skin and rage thing, they were actually pretty chill.
Yeah, they were. In tune with nature, living in these noble clans, deep connection to the spirits.
Wasn't all axes and war cries, huh?
Not at all. They were deeply spiritual, honored their ancestors, had this whole shamanistic tradition.
Huh, interesting. So what went wrong? How did they go from nature lovers to, the poster children for warmongering?
Well, that's where things get complicated. Enter Gul'dan, stage left. He was this power-hungry warlock, super ambitious.
Ambitious is putting it mildly.
And he gets tricked, manipulated by this demon, Kil'jaeden, into offering the orcs a deal.
A deal with a demon. Doesn't sound like a great starting point.
It wasn't. The deal was with this other demon, Manoroth, and it promised power, strength, fury.
But there's always a catch, right?
Oh yeah, a big one. This deal was a curse, the infamous blood curse. It granted the orcs immense power, but it also corrupted them, twisted them into these rage-fueled, bloodthirsty warriors.
So basically, they sold their souls for a power-up.
It's like that, yeah. They were promised strength and dominance, but it came at a terrible price.
And I bet not everyone was on board with this whole demon deal.
You're right. There were some orcs who saw the danger, tried to warn their people. Guys like Orgrim Doomhammer, Gul'dan, they recognized the curse for what it was.
But I'm guessing their voices were drowned out by all the demon-induced hype.
Pretty much. The orcs were facing some tough times back then. Their world was literally dying. So this promise of power, it was too tempting for most to resist.
So mass demonic addiction. What happens next? Do they at least get some cool demon parties out of it?
Not exactly. Fueled by this demonic rage, they turned on their own world. Draenor became a wasteland, ravaged by fell magic.
Hold on, back up. Fell magic? That sounds kind of ominous.
It is. It's a corrupting force, a type of magic that draws on negative emotions like hatred and fear.
So not exactly the kind of magic you'd want to bring home to mom.
No, definitely not. And it poisoned Draenor, leaving the orcs desperate for a new home.
And that desperation, combined with the whole rage thing, that's a recipe for disaster.
Exactly. It led them to create the Dark Portal, a gateway to another world, Azeroth.
So they weren't just looking for a new place to chill, they were on the warpath.
Yeah, they saw Azeroth as a land ripe for the taking, a chance to escape their dying world and maybe even conquer a new one.
But their demonic curse, that wasn't exactly conducive to peaceful coexistence.
Not at all. They were driven by this insatiable need to dominate, fueled by the fell magic coursing through their veins.
So we've got these corrupted, desperate orcs pouring into Azeroth.
Yeah, and let's just say the locals weren't exactly thrilled about it.
Cue the humans, stage left, and let the clash of civilizations begin.
The humans, especially those from the Kingdom of Stormwind, they put up a fight. They weren't expecting this sudden invasion, but they weren't going down without a struggle.
But in the end, Stormwind fell, right? I mean, orcs and diplomacy, not exactly a match made in heaven.
You're right. The orcs, led by Warchief Blackhand, they laid siege to Stormwind. It was brutal, a long and bloody affair.
And I bet Gul'dan, our favorite warlock, was right in the thick of it.
Oh, absolutely. He was pulling the strings, using his dark magic to weaken the city's defenses.
So victory for the Horde, but it sounds like a pretty costly one.
It was. The city was in ruins, countless lives lost, and the seeds of a much larger war were sown.
And that's where we'll pick up next time. The stage is set for the Second War, and things are about to get epic. Don't miss it. Last time, we left off with Stormwind in ruins. The orcs victorious, but not exactly in a celebratory mode.
Yeah, it was a Pyrrhic victory for sure.
So what happens next? Do the humans just surrender?
The humans, they were battered but not broken.
They weren't just going to roll over and let the orcs take over.
The fall of Stormwind was like a wake-up call,
They kind of forced them to put aside their differences and band together.
Exactly, and that's how the alliance was born.
So picture this. Humans, dwarves, gnomes, even the high elves. They all joined forces to fight back against the Horde.
It was a pretty big deal.
Talk about a high-stakes team-up. So how did the orcs react to this? Were they like, oh crap, we've got a real fight on our hands now.
Well, things weren't exactly peaceful on their side either.
You still got that whole demonic curse thing hanging over them.
Right. Doomhammer, he was trying to lead the Horde, unite them, but the blood curse was a constant struggle.
Like trying to quit smoking when everyone around you is lighting up, right?
This is a huge challenge.
But hey, at least they'd achieved their goal, right? They conquered a new home. You'd think they'd be settling in, maybe starting a community garden or something.
Well, about that Gul'dan. Remember him? The warlock who started all this?
Oh yeah, that guy.
Well, he had other plans.
You mean besides unleashing a demonic curse upon his people?
Apparently that wasn't enough for him. See, right in the middle of this war with the Alliance, Gul'dan decides he wants more power.
More power.
Seriously. Yeah, he gets this crazy idea that he could become some kind of ultimate sorcerer.
So what does he do?
He convinces a bunch of the Horde to ditch the war effort and follow him on this side quest for power.
So while everyone else is fighting for survival, Gul'dan's off chasing some magical MacGuffin.
Pretty much. They were looking for an artifact, this super powerful demonic relic hidden in the Tomb of Sargeras.
Tomb of Sargeras. Okay, that doesn't sound good. So what does Doomhammer do? Does he just let them go?
Doomhammer was furious, obviously. But he was also a pragmatist. He knew he couldn't chase after Gul'dan, not with the Alliance breathing down his neck.
So he had to make a tough choice.
Yeah, he focuses on the war at hand, rallies the orcs who are still loyal to him.
And faces off against the Alliance?
Exactly. And this is where things get really interesting. During one of the battles, Doomhammer ends up in a duel with Anduin Lothar.
Wait, Lothar! The legendary human hero.
The one and only. And it was a duel for the ages.
Okay, pause for dramatic effect. So who wins?
Doomhammer. He actually kills Lothar.
Whoa. Okay, points for Doomhammer. But killing the Alliance's champion has got to have some serious repercussions.
It did. It was a huge blow to the Alliance. But it also fueled their determination to win the war.
Yeah, killing their hero probably wasn't the best way to make peace. So what happens next?
Well, despite Doomhammer's victory over Lothar, the tide turns against the Horde.
Outnumbered, betrayed by Gul'dan. It doesn't sound good for the orcs.
It wasn't. The Horde ends up losing the war.
What happens to Doomhammer?
He's captured by the Alliance, imprisoned.
And the rest of the orcs?
They're rounded up and put into internment camps. The Alliance is afraid of another uprising.
Talk about a downer ending. Defeated, imprisoned, still cursed. What happens to the orcs now? Do they just give up?
They were a broken people, that's for sure. Suffering withdrawal from the Fellow of Magic, their spirits crushed.
Wait, withdrawal? They were actually going through withdrawal from not having demon blood anymore?
Yeah, it was a horrible experience.
But their story doesn't end there, does it?
No, it doesn't. Even in their darkest hour, a glimmer of hope emerges.
Who steps up? Who becomes their new leader?
A young orc, born into captivity, raised by humans. His name is Thrall.
Last time we left the orcs in a pretty rough spot. Defeated, imprisoned, and dealing with some serious magical withdrawal. But then there's Thrall, this young orc, raised by humans. He's like the chosen one, right?
Yeah, he's definitely a pivotal figure in Orcish history. He escapes captivity and starts searching for his people, wanting to learn about his heritage.
So he wasn't just about breaking free. He wanted to understand where he came from, right? What made the orcs tick.
Exactly. And he seeks out the scattered remnants of the Horde, learning from the elders, reconnecting with the spirits. He even trains with the legendary Orgrim Doomhammer himself.
Whoa, wait, Doomhammer? I thought he was captured by the Alliance.
He was, but he eventually gets freed, and he sees something special in Thrall, a potential for a new kind of leadership. So he passes on everything he knows, hoping Thrall can break the cycle of violence.
So it's like a passing of the torch. From the old guard to the new generation. What was Thrall's vision for the Horde? Did he just want to pick up where Doomhammer left off and go to war with the Alliance?
Not at all. Thrall saw that the old ways, the ways of conquest and bloodshed, they weren't working. He had a different vision for the Horde, one based on honor, strength, and a return to their shamanistic roots.
Hold up, shamanistic. I thought orcs were all about axes and war cries, not, communing with nature.
Remember, the blood curse twisted the orcs, made them forget who they truly were. Thrall wanted to reawaken that connection to the spirits, the elements. He believed it was the key to their healing, to finding their place in the world.
Okay, so he's got this vision, but how do you go from imprisoned and demoralized to, a society built on honor? That's quite elite.
It starts with freeing the orcs from the internment camps. But it wasn't just about breaking them out physically. It was about reigniting their spirit, reminding them of their strength, their pride.
It's like he was a revolutionary leader, right? But instead of leading an army, he was leading a spiritual movement.
Exactly. And this is where things get really interesting. The prophet Medivh, remember him? He comes back into the picture.
Oh yeah, the cryptic dude with all the prophecies. What does he tell Thrall to do?
Medivh tells Thrall to lead the orcs to Kalimdor, a distant continent.
What? Why Kalimdor?
Because a new threat is brewing, one that will require all the races of Azeroth to unite against it. Medivh believes the orcs have a role to play in this.
Okay, the classic, we need to put aside our differences and work together scenario. So, the orcs set sail for this new land. I bet it wasn't exactly smooth sailing, was it?
It was a perilous journey, full of storms and unknown dangers, but they persevered, driven by Thrall's leadership and the hope for a new beginning.
So they reach Kalimdor. New continent, new possibilities. Who do they meet? What's the welcome wagon like?
It's a mixed bag. They encounter the Darkspear trolls, who are struggling against these creatures called murlocs, and Thrall offers to help them.
Instead of conquering, he's offering aid. This Thrall guy, he's really changing the game.
It was a deliberate choice, a shift away from the Horde's old ways. He wanted to build alliances, not empires.
And the Night Elves, how did they react to the orcs showing up?
Let's just say they weren't exactly thrilled. They were very protective of their ancient forests and saw the orcs as a potential threat. And unfortunately, some of those fears were realized.
Oh no, what happened?
Grom Hellscream, remember him? He was still struggling with the blood curse. And Manaroth, the pit lord who originally cursed the orcs, he reappears.
Seriously? Those demons just can't take a hint, can they?
Manaroth offers Grom power in exchange for servitude. It was a trap, obviously.
And Grom falls for it.
He does. Desperate to protect his clan, he drinks Manaroth's blood, plunging the Warsong clan back into demonic corruption.
So close, yet so far. It's like taking 2 steps forward and then getting yanked back 3 steps. Does Thrall just give up on them?
No, he refuses to give up on Grom or his people. He knows they can still be redeemed.
So what does he do?
He does something unexpected. He teams up with Jaina Proudmoore, a human sorceress.
Whoa, hold on. He teams up with a human. That's a pretty big deal.
They knew they couldn't defeat Manaroth alone. They needed each other's strength. And in a climactic battle, Grom realizes the error of his ways and sacrifices himself to kill Manaroth.
He sacrifices himself. Wow. So redemption through sacrifice. That's powerful.
It was a turning point for the orcs. They were finally free from the blood curse that had haunted them for generations. And it showed the other races of Azeroth that they were capable of change, of heroism.
Okay, so the curse is broken, but what about the Burning Legion? The whole reason they went to Kalimdor in the first place.
Right, that was still a major threat. And you have this amazing moment where orcs, humans, night elves, they all put aside their differences and fight side by side against this demonic army.
Talk about an epic team-up. So, what happens after they defeat the Legion? Do they all live happily ever after?
Well, it's never that simple, is it? Thrall leads his people to Durotar, a harsh but beautiful land where they build a new home, a new city called Orgrimmar. It was a symbol of the new Horde, a society based on honor and respect.
So they finally found a place where they could belong.
It wasn't easy. There was still distrust and prejudice from other races, and even within the Horde, there were those who yearned for the old ways, for conquest and dominance.
So the struggle continues. Man, the orcs, they've been through a lot. What do you think is the biggest takeaway from their story?
I think it's their constant struggle to define themselves. Are they bound by their past, or can they truly forge a new path? It's a question that resonates with all of us, doesn't it?
It really does. If the orcs can overcome a literal demonic curse to find their own identity, what curses are we battling in our own lives, and what would it take for us to break free? That's something worth thinking about.
Thanks for joining us on this epic journey through Orcish history. We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.